Well done. So, and thanks for having me. So yes, you're right with most of your introduction. Yeah, my PhD was not in mechanical, it was in industrial. So my master's and bachelor's was in mechanical, but it doesn't matter. That doesn't really matter anymore. So for me, to the question, I'll rephrase it as maybe the sacrifices of my parents. If it hasn't been for that sacrifice, will I be where I am today? Interesting question. Because I've been asked this question in 2014. 2016, when I was in Stellenbosch, I was, by grace of God, and one way or the other, I found myself in MIT. So when I finished in MIT and came back to Stellenbosch, one rich kid asked me a very unique question. And that's one of the reasons I wrote the book. She was like, I want to feel poverty. I'm like, what do you mean you want to feel poverty? She said, story seems not to be sweet if you are not poor. And then I called her. She's still my friend till today, because I knew like she was trying to cut her stuffs and just trying to live like maybe that was what was driving me. And I told her this example before I go to answer your question. I said, if you are to climb a 5-story building, now, the guy that was born rich, or let me say the guy that was born wealthy, has an elevator. The guy that was born rich has an escalator. The guy that was born poor, there is stairs. So now if you are born rich, that means you have an escalator. Why would you prefer to take the stairs? If you can ride an escalator, and if you have the lift, why wouldn't you take the lift? And what that means is, there is an old story that speaks about talents, when one is given 5 and the other is given 1. So if you have an opportunity as a rich kid, the only time you should be feeling sad or bad should be, let's say I was telling her then, that was in 2016, so I'm going to call her in 2026, because I told her, I said, in 10 years' time, if we now stand together and you have not been able to achieve further than I've achieved, then you can start asking your questions. But the issue is, if you have an opportunity, you should use it. So I just want to make that clear, because I know people want to, every great musician always tell a story of when they were in church choir. Everybody wants to claim poor. I have a rich friend that always say, I stayed in one room for the rest of my life. And just to feel among, but that one room is just one room out of seven bedroom duplex. So it doesn't matter. But for me, I say, even eagles need a push. So I definitely recognize the sacrifices of my people, not just my parents, even my sister. My sister, for example, had to drop out of medicine for myself and my elder brother to study accounting and engineering. She ended up being a biologist. But those are the sacrifices we have people pay, which is why one of the reasons I was trying to put out all these stories out there, mine might have been maybe financial, because the whole money they were able to put down together then was 600,000 naira, which is now $1,000. And if you read the book, you see, like, I traveled to South Africa with only the school fees. I didn't even have where to sleep. And this is not like a story that is just messed up. It's a true life story. But those are the sacrifices they have to do. There are other parents that the sacrifice may be time. And that's why I'm saying, like, I ended up here because of this sacrifice they have to do. So as parents, as leaders, your own sacrifice might have to be time. So if my parents were rich, I still believe, to cut the story short, I still believe with the same ideology, which I believe we'll still discuss, that I would have gotten to where I am, maybe faster, but I'm glad at the pace I'm going. But it's just important, like, we all have to pay our sacrifices. We may think now, the more you go to the higher you go, the higher you realize that sometimes time is even more important than money, right? So some people, it may be the ability to spend time with your kids. It may be equivalent to my parents looking for money to sponsor my school fees. So yes, I would have still got here if I had rich parents. And it's not for anyone that wasn't born poor to start feeling they have to be poor to be driven or to be driven. Right?
Okay, thank you very much for that. Apology, I started the recording late, but it's recording now, so that everyone knows that we are currently recording. Yeah, so thank you very much, Dr. Toyosi, for your answer. And it is true sometimes that people want to feel that street credibility, and then they tend to want to claim certain backgrounds so that they have a stronger story to tell. But like you said, it really, it's about the person. So whether you're born rich or not, it's just the individual. So with that, I move on to my next question. So I listened to this podcast a few weeks ago, and that was Steve Bartlett. So he's an entrepreneur. He has this podcast called The Diary of a CEO. For those that do not have not listened, it's a nice one. It is a really good podcast. And he had Jordan Peterson on it. And one of the things Jordan Peterson said is, we didn't come to this, we didn't come to the world to be happy. We came to this world to achieve upward strides. So, moving forward in life, some form of forward attainment. And when I read your story and I see that, I see this whole process of alchemy, how you've sort of taken the challenges that life has thrown at you and you sort of really turned it into blessings. I can say that. When we look at this, what are some of the, so I just want to focus on three qualities that you think have helped you get to where you are today, because we're really thinking about entrepreneurship. For those that, one of the things is not everyone is going to be an entrepreneur, not necessarily, not everyone has to, but for those that want to have a corporate career, like you have a corporate career and you also have your own businesses that you run, what are the three key traits or qualities that you think would help you stand out, or have helped you stand out rather?
Just a moment. I'm just trying to, I was connecting with other systems so I can see people while I'm talking. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm back. So yeah, here is it. For me, you see, I did something recently, which was February this year. There's something I always try to do. I always try to improve on myself. And I think everybody does that. But I always try to have something I know it's that I'm weak in. There was a time I wasn't a good listener because I used to listen with intent. Different people, you have different kind of brain. While you are saying one, my brain is calculating 10. I'm already making conclusions for you, right? There was a time I realized that it was something I could improve on. Then I went to attentive listening, which now I actually listen and I'm present. I try to get people's opinion and exactly what they're saying. I disregard my background when people are talking. And continuous improvement, it's one thing I've learned that can keep you grounded in whatever you do. I know a lot of motivational speakers have spoken about read books, do this, a lot of plan purposefully, prepare prayerfully, progress positively, a lot of P's and T's and Y's. But I think after continuous improvement, I've just given you one real example. Another real example, I will say it's understanding your environment. That's all about self-improvement. So you need to do, when you want to start, or even if you have started, no matter how long, a critical evaluation of yourself. Because it's your value that will sell you or sell your idea. And that means even old, young, I'm giving everybody like an assignment. Call the people you know and ask them critical question like, what do you think are my strengths? Not the one you sit down and you do SWOT analysis by yourself, or you use an app online, or you feel like questionnaires. Ask your friends, who are you? And then ask them, if you are comfortable, to ask them like, what do you think I can improve on? And if you can sit down with them and let them analyze those things for you, you'll be shocked at what you can come up with. Because those values will now determine like, are you moved by the crowd? What you are trying to do now? Is it because everybody's going to blockchain technology that you want to go into blockchain? Is there an accidental entrepreneurship because you studied, let's say, PhD in agri-tech? Is that why you want to find yourself in agri-tech? So value evaluation, which is continuous improvement. It worked for me and it's still working. And that's when I realized that I don't actually have to be like the owner of Facebook, Mark, or I realized that, wait, I can actually be very great while working for somebody, and because I have something I want to achieve in there. And number two is nothing is impossible. I don't say negative things at all. I can't remember when I ever said any negative things. I've had people that have visited me, or that if you spend 2-3 days with me, if there's something you will learn. I did this evaluation with my friend. The first thing all of them said is, you are too positive. Some will say, you are too optimistic. So that means I can go anywhere. I can meet anyone. I can do anything because I don't care. I'm comfortable with refusers. I'm very comfortable with no. When I was coming to Australia, for example, I'm very passionate about Africa. I'm still working in Africa. I'm still developing a mini grid to speak in my hometown. Okay. So when I was leaving to Australia, I had a strategic reason why I was coming. There was some roadblock I was meeting in terms of funding and whatnot. And that's why I came. So when I was coming, I had no job here. Of course, I had some savings which I could put up with and the rest of things like that. Everybody was like, dude, you are crazy. You are living your very nice life for the unknown. As I said, yeah, they invited me, they gave me residency. Let's see what will happen. When I got here, interestingly, I got here on Thursday. I started a work with the government, with the minister of like a very critical infrastructure by Friday, like a day after I start. I actually got the job while in quarantine. Now, it's not that I want to emphasize. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Now, it's not the job I got that I want to emphasize. I want to emphasize that when I was deleting my sent box, I realized that I might have applied for over 1,500 jobs. Like, because I scrolled up, I have the recording on my other phone. I think it's still here. I have recording on my other phone. I made a video of scrolling up. I deleted 7 pages of applications. And then on LinkedIn, I sent the message to the mayor of this. I sent a message to the premier of this. So some of them didn't respond. But on my birthday, I just put on LinkedIn like, guys, it's my birthday, I'm in Perth. Apparently, most of them have connected to me. Before you know it, one person knows the other person. I found myself sitting with the CEO of the top 5 companies in the state I am. Like, done deal. Their text message away. Now, out of those failures, we could call failures of those of them that didn't respond. But and of course, I got the job I didn't even expect. The one I would have always wanted to do is exactly what I'm doing. The reason why I came here. So the second one is nothing is impossible. And the last one I would say is everything has a season. And it's very important. Like when you say everything, you cannot make permanent decision when it comes to temporary problems. Because as an entrepreneur, you will get no. Doesn't mean you should burn the bridge of that person saying no to you. It may be the person that will change your life tomorrow. There's one of the people that forwarded my book, didn't give me a job while in Nigeria. When I was going to MIT, all the contacts I met, this guy was the one that gave me almost 80% of them. So because I met him, I did all the interviews, and he saw me and he was like, this guy, I can't hire you. I said, why? He said, where have you done the interview? I said, I'm in the last stage with Chevron. I thought I was, what do you call it? I was a child. So I was trying to show off, or more like, let him know how good I was. But it was later in the years, I realized that he saw my dream, he saw my vision. And he was like, no, if I hire you, I'm more like, I'm going to tie you down. So I didn't get offended. I became friend till today is my mentor. So everything has a season. When people say no, it doesn't mean end of relationship. And yeah, just be hopeful. So for me, continuous improvement, always be positive, and then everything has a season. Whatever you're going through now is not going to be like that. Single, you'll get married. You are using a You are driving a Creta, you drive a BM. You are driving a BM, you drive a Tesla. Whatever you want, there's season for it.
Okay.
So take your time.
Great, great. Thank you very much. That's very, very inspiring, Dr. Toyosi. So I have some questions coming in already. So Simon Christman says, why Stellenbosch University in South Africa? Why another country? Why did you have to come from Nigeria and go to South Africa?
I think there's a chapter in the book where I wrote, Nigeria did not repay me with the kindness I've shown her. So it's interesting to know that, I hosted the birthday of the guy that designed Nigerian flag. I was so passionate. Nigeria forgot the person that designed its flag. Like he wasn't remembered. And myself and a couple of some friends with our pocket money, if it was even pocket money, we organized a birthday for him. We went to the State House and the government were like, they've organized a lot of things. They didn't know we're just coming from the guy's house. So they lied to us. I really felt like, no, man, whatever you have to do, you just do it. Don't wait for anybody. And that's the lesson I learned. So I made an invention in Nigeria, which by then I didn't have commercial skills. I didn't understand patenting and how to really, because you can't make it if you can't build a business case, no matter how smart you are. I was a typical engineer making inventions and going nowhere. So I was a bit frustrated by that. And then this guy that I said I went for interview said he's not going to give me a job. So I'm like, no, what is this? So one day I watched a movie, interestingly. I know it sounds coincidental, but I watched a movie and then there was a guy that I knew I could because I got admission. Everybody tried to go abroad. My vision is Nigeria, but I just want to gather the knowledge and come back. I've read a lot of autobiographies and I've seen people have made contacts when you go abroad. So I just wanted to have global network as a kid. But I know I couldn't afford Canada anywhere. Like I had scholarship everywhere, but I wouldn't even be able to afford the flight ticket. So one day I was a bit frustrated. I watched a Nigerian movie where one guy went to US, another guy went to South Africa. And the guy that went to US, everybody celebrated him. The guy that went to South Africa, people laughed at him. 5 years later, he was successful. And coincidentally, evening of that day, one of my friends in Canada just called me. I was like, some people came from South Africa. They are really, really comfortable, even more than we guys that were in Canada. I'm like, really? Because I didn't know anything about South Africa. And I just Googled that the best university in South Africa. Like I said, I'm very optimistic. I just be best university in South Africa for engineering. I just saw Stellenbosch. They just made some satellite that time. That was it. Sent an email to 2 days later, I got the admission. Yes, and I'm glad because I got blessed. So that's why Stellenbosch.
Oh, great, great. So there you go. That's why it's Stellenbosch. Okay, so Tim says, Dr. Craig, in your book, you say that advice from some people is more important than getting money from them. Why?
Thank you, Tim. I think the greatest lesson I learned in my life is like, enough is the best thing a man can have. There's a book, Enough, that's the title of the book, that the guy said, the opening speech of the book was like, two people went to a party. So a friend was telling a colleague, like, the guy hosting this party has everything in life. Lamborghini, Ferraris, as Forbes company. So the friend was like, I have something he doesn't have. He said, what? He said, I have enough. See, when money is somebody's motivation, you can never have enough. Okay? So that background and mindset is what made me say this. Because, for example, working in Australia with my skill set, in the building I'm working, I've been offered jobs by 3 other companies in the same building. So if I'm motivated by money, I'll just have been moving floors every year because there's always somebody willing to double your salary, right? So when you meet people, because of their wealth of experience, money they will give you will always be exhausted. Yes, money is good if you need it and you need it to finance your project, but you'll be shocked because people are more comfortable when they see you genuinely want to learn from them Once you are asking for money, the game is over. On my launch, in the launch of my book, I have so many senators, so many governors, ex-governors and governors on the launching online. People were shocked that how are you able to hold Nigerian politicians in one single event? And they were there for 2 hours. I said, because I've never asked them for money. Because everybody that comes to them, the first thing there is money. But I come to them, I say, I come to greet you, I have an idea. Like the former president asked me, like, what can we do for you? I said, I don't have an answer to you now. When I have an idea that I think you can fit in, I'll come back to you. So when people share their experience, they feel more comfortable. They hold you as their son. They're ready to hold your hand. If they know you need money, you don't need to ask them. They will give you. But never, ever, ever, for me, don't just ask for money. The experience and the connection they will give you, money cannot buy it. So that's why I wrote that.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Well, I can speak for myself. I'm learning a lot already. So I move to my next question, politics. So yeah, Nikki has said that makes sense. I moved to politics. So obviously when you work in an organization, a large organization, there's always the politics to contend with. And, you know, when you say politics, a lot of people tend to shy away from it. But I think it's because people don't really understand that politics is just the same thing as self-interest, pushing what you are looking for further than other people are. Now, so for people that have started up in an organization and are trying to get their voice heard, trying to navigate their way around the office politics and things like that, what are some of the strategies you think that they can use to get their voice heard, to be taken seriously? Those kinds of things that people tend to struggle with in organizations.
Okay. All right. This is a very interesting question, because when I was in school, undergrad, whenever they call you politician, they literally calling you a liar. When they say, politician, they literally say, you liar. So it sometimes makes lofty ideas seems irrelevant. It sometimes makes lofty ideas seems horrible, right? So like you have rightly said, if you don't do politics, you will never get forward. The only reason why 2 people sing the same song and one person gets award or one person is remembered is because he knows how to play the game. Now, in the corporate world, number one thing, I actually wrote 4 things down. After thinking about this, I'm thinking like someday maybe I'm able to write a book about this. Maybe after I have more experience to put together. So number 1 would be build trust. First thing first. Before you go into your idea, before you do anything, you got to build trust, because everybody is chicken eats chicken. Let's put it like that. Like it's a competitive place, and it's work. People want to progress their career. What you are looking for is also what everybody's looking for. So you need to build trust, because there are a lot of incompetencies around the world now. People are so good on CV. Put them to do the job. Somebody that say attention to detail, he will never put a comma or a full stop. So build trust, and that building trust means doing the right thing at the right time. Promise less, deliver more. Don't overpromise. Don't be too excited to speak too much than what you can offer. Just be modest. Don't put all your effort, boom, and overshine in the first 1 month because you're trying to impress, and all your strength and skill, you have used them all. Right? So build trust when you get in, then we can then talk about the innovation that I want to talk about. So the first one for me will be, I broke it into 3. That would be idea generation, right? Idea generation, because you're not an entrepreneur. Yes, the sky is the limit. You have forever to do whatever you want to do. But in a corporate world, you need to make your idea relevant. You need to know your constraint. Because remember, you need to match it with long-term goal of the company. You can't be super smart and tell Tesla to start selling cement, because you see like cement tests, this thing I'm thinking about cement, if you just invest like this and you build this mental model and You just go to meet Elon Musk and say, let's compete with Dangote. It doesn't make sense. So always have that, because, once you are gifted with the spirit of entrepreneurship, your brain is always working. And hence, I always tell people, he that gave you the grace to manufacture a tire, you still have the strength to manufacture a car battery and a car engine. So it's one step at a time. So know your environment. Number two, under the ideas will be, because innovations are unplanned, you have to make it reasonable. The companies don't plan for innovations in their company. So you can't be asking for a ridiculous budget. You can't be asking for $5 million because you have this golden idea. Then timing is key. Timing is key because your boss, your direct boss, may not be there for 3 years, right? Whatever idea you need to do in the corporate world must finish in 2 years. And it goes to entrepreneurs too. You need to know that the guy you are going in for funding, his ideas or his love, despite that he spoke on TV yesterday, that he has this seed fund for this thing, that thing is time bound. And that's why I said one of my virtues is everything has a season. So I always try to keep to that. There's this thing that says, there's a story of the Easterners that said men of Issachar, they know what to do per time. So you need to understand the timing. Number two is ideas packaging. You need to be able to show proof or prototype. People believe what they see. It's very important. Even it doesn't have to be perfect, looking all fancy, just something that they can see. Then last for me is what I learned later in life, which is now what I do for a living, which is, it can be teachable. It's a matter of business value and commercialization, right? You need to build business around your idea. Good idea. I mean, a guy who came to me 2 days ago and was telling me about, this rooftop, you are very good with renewables. Can we do this? I just looked at him and I said, no, just forget about it. I won't waste my time. He felt like I rejected him. I called him later in the evening when I felt like, yes, maybe I was too harsh. I'm like, you are just telling me technical stuff. What impact, how much money, who do we talk, like, build a business case around it. And you can learn a lot of these things online freely. And you must know how to talk, which is pitching. Please, no matter how good your idea is, if you cannot communicate it, it's dead on arrival. Now this would be fun for me.
Great, thank you very much for that. And I just go back to the second point you gave there on prototyping, and it's something Simon Christman, that co-founder of Founders and Mentors, speaks heavily about: idea validation. Don't just have something to show that this works, especially if you're speaking to investors and, people like that. Have something to show that it works, so that, it's easier to convince them that way when you have something to show them. So I move to my next question, and it's all about, we go back to Africa. So we're looking at Africa as a continent. We might focusing on Nigeria. Now, hope is something you talk about in your book extensively, that, hope is something that keeps us going. In our darkest days, our darkest moments, it's that hope that just tells us, just carry on. It might turn out better. Now, my question is, do you have any hope that, things can get better in Africa? We're going back to that concept because, like I said, I look at it from an economic perspective. I've said we take Nigeria as a case study. 50 to 60% of the population in Nigeria live under $1 a day. Do you think it can get better? What are your thoughts? I know this is not entrepreneurial, but I want to know what you think. You're an African enthusiast, so I want to know your thoughts on this.
Thanks for this question, because I'm very passionate about this, and I'm sure every one of us are very passionate about where we come from. There's always something to improve, no matter, even in the United States or anywhere you come from, there's always something to improve. Hope is everything in life. When a man loses hope, he loses everything. You see, people that have no hope, they stay longer in depression than people who have at least iota of hope. Africa definitely is going to be great. What we teach us eventually. We've got the resources, the rare metals and agriculture. It's still revolving around. I mean, the renewables and sustainable energy, I know. Africa is needed. For Nigeria specifically, I think Nigeria's problem is a bit simple. I will explain why. Nigeria just needs a good leader. I know a lot of people have told us, like, Nigeria, everybody needs to be good, anybody needs to be good. But Nigerian problem is really not complicated. It's just complex, right? Nigerian problem, I said this before, I'm trying to look, I think I found it. I wrote down, I said, because complex problem requires simple solution, right? Complicated problems requires complex solution. I'll break that down later on. See, if a problem is complex, it means that it has many components. But when a problem is complex, doesn't mean it's difficult. On the other hand, when a problem is complicated, it requires a lot of effort. What I'm trying to say with that is Nigerians are obedient. Interestingly enough, what people don't know about Nigeria, Nigeria are rule abiding. If you tell Nigerians, you know, we brag, do everything, but let them make a rule that nobody should go out of their house by 5. You will be shocked. Nigerians are scared. Forget the noise they make when you meet them. So you'll be shocked, like when they say, we're putting soldiers out, not soldiers, but we're putting authorities out, there should be no bike in this area starting from Sunday. I mean, some states do what we call environmental, so something like that. So Nigerian system revolves around the body language of the leader. And when I say Nigerian problem is complex and not complicated, it means it just have different components that need to be solved. Because, for example, there's no country you will get to that you will not find a Nigerian expert that is a medical doctor, top of the range engineer, a space engineer. There's nowhere I've got to in this world, there's no city. There's always this great guy, right? So for Nigeria, yes, there's hope. Everything will fall in line. And apart from the government and the politics. So for me, straight up, it's just the politics. You just need the right leader, just one. I'm not talking about, so because it changes everything. If the president of Nigeria says yes, everybody say yes. So yes, the hope is there. But for individuals too, things are changing. Nigeria is one of the biggest market for blockchain technology currently in the world. We have the highest level of IT companies growing up currently in the world. I have one of my friends that just came here. She just arrived like 2 months ago. Young girl from Nigeria, cybersecurity expert, recruited, flown in, all expenses paid, working as an expert. I've met a couple of young people like that. So with that exposure that is going on, the generation that is failing is definitely dying off. So I believe and have hope, like definitely, yes. Not just Nigeria, because I've been to like 19 to, I think now it's 23 African countries. And it's the same model. And even Southeast Asia is the same model. Okay. So where there's hope.
Okay, great. That's thank you. I think for most of us from these regions, that's music to the ears. I have a question. It says, what makes you think an entrepreneur is better than a service holder? Do you have?
Is Taranum?
Yeah, Taranum, yeah.
Will you want to expand more on your question so that I don't answer a miss?
Yeah, Taranum.
Pardon, I didn't hear you. I think the voice dropped.
Okay. No,
okay.
Do you want to expatiate? Do you want to say a bit more on that question so that he's able to answer? I think the question is not clear.
I'm just asking, are you asking straight up? Are you asking what makes you think an entrepreneur is better than a service holder? Okay, I'll just answer if you can hear me, but if I just want to know if I'm answering your question rightly. More like if we're saying the same thing, service holder, like entrepreneur or someone working in an office, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, like I said, it's one of the skills I've learned now, attentive listening. You don't just jump to answer questions. You need to understand what people are asking. Okay, for me, you know, the world we're living in, we've celebrated entrepreneurs so well, like so great. And for example, the guy that invented PlayStation, I can't remember his name now. He was working in the corporate world. He was working in a company, right? So not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is great if you like the risk. Like I said, you have freedom of time. If you have a backup and you have a business mind, because not just because everybody is doing entrepreneurship. Yes, it's great, but I will need everybody to actually do that value evaluation that I spoke about, which means to know yourself based on what everyone around you has told you. Because, motivational speakers are great. They tell you, and this guy dropped out of Harvard, he now owns these $200 billion companies. We have luxury, we have limited time in life. And while it's good to fail, you need to know and understand, are you learning from your failure? So to answer your question, yes and no. The freedom is there for an entrepreneur, but the pressure is more there. But you just need to understand what works well for you. As an service holder or an entrepreneur, I will never work where the culture does not support my entrepreneurial life, right? Because I set a goal for myself. There's something I need to learn, or some corporate learning I need to learn that, of course, I can learn that in Harvard Business School, but it's not like I rather prefer to be in a particular sector. If I give you an instance of my life, I have programs I run, I have projects I run on the side. I make sure it's not contradictory to whatever I'm working with. So that's number one. I'm not working because I'm looking for a backup salary, because that's one of the problems that entrepreneurs also make. Can I use this as a fallback? Because if you are not in, you are not in. If you are in, you are in, right? So I worked in the private sector. Now I'm working in the government sector on the regulation side. If you understand how the trajectory works. So now I'll sit on this side of the table. I'm now sitting on this side of the table. So because I have some years plan, which from here, if I'm going out to continue my entrepreneurial life, I know what next I'm doing. So it's a yes and no answer. It depends on the value and the drive of the person. If you know you can achieve your dreams in any corporate organization, go for it. There are people like Tim that has been supporting. I wrote down, he said from 1986, I've been supporting entrepreneurs. So there are people that are there to support you. You just need to be sure this is what you're going for. There's no going back. And yeah, with all you have, if you go for it, you will definitely get it. Just know, the 9 failures you have before the 10th success. The 10th success is because of the lessons you've learned. Because one can keep failing and be saying entrepreneurs always make mistakes. They always fail. But if you don't learn from your failure, it's waste of fail. That's what I say. It's waste of fail. Right. So it's relative.
Yeah, thank you very much for that one, Dr. Toyosi. So I'll ask you one more question and then we'll just go into breakout sessions, just for quick networking, getting to know each other a bit more. And then the breakout sessions will just last for about 4 or 5 minutes and then we'll be out. So my final question would be that we're in a world that, focuses on instant gratification, make money fast, lose weight fast, do this fast, do that fast. But we know that good things take time. I usually say to people, when you see Jeff Bezos today, and you see Amazon and the billions, then the value of the companies in billions. But Amazon is almost 26 years old. It's taking him that long to get it to where it is today. So what do you think? What would be your advice to people that are starting up career in the corporate world, that want to run businesses and do all these things in terms of this fast pace that we're all on these days?
Okay, thank you very much. You need good people. You need network. You need to surround yourself with good people. Not people who want to show off or compete in terms of material things. See, when I was finishing my high school, I'm lucky to always remember a lot of words that were said to me. The name of the guy is called Venerable Shotunde. I think he's dead now. It's very old. It was like 80-something years then. The Venerable said, the more materialistic you are, the less you are devoted to your dream, right? If there's something I took out from my high school, that's it. Because we live in a world, like you said, I'm currently off social medias except LinkedIn. So it's a personal decision because I realized that every time I post, people are actually misreading it. And thanks for the feedback that I got from my friend. I did another evaluation of my life. Sometimes I like to share testimony. I realize some people are taking it. I mean, for example, I was literally in school from 1990 to 2018. That's almost 1/3 of my year. So that's 28 years of my life. I was always around school, right? But now, someone that has dropped out, because there's a lot of things happening in developing countries generally, their fast method of making money, which are not sustainable. I just buy this small bike and make money from it, every daily money, and you are bigger than every guy that is going to school. Then most people going to school out of competition or curiosity, they also get distracted. That's what leads to all this internet fraud and the rest of the thing. Forgetting, like, if you can, and that's one of the reasons I wrote my book, to reiterate the importance of education. Because it seems now like we are moving away from that value, saying, no, you can, because there's a generation that some of them dropped out of school, and someone wrote a very nice piece recently about it on LinkedIn. Like, this is like 10% of the greatest entrepreneurs, right? All of them have good background. And so back to what you said, there's no quick way to making money. There's no shortcut to success. And that's why I'm saying there are a lot of elderly people that have put themselves available across the world that you can always reach out to learn from their story. My closest friend are 60s, 70s, like you'll be amazed the age of my friends. But I learn a lot from them. And so I see these people, some of them are stinkingly rich, but you realize that money is not anything to them. I don't drive a car currently. I used to drive. So I was also in that space of life sometimes ago. Like, I drive this big car, and my mentor was driving a car worth 1/10 of the car I drove. This guy can buy the whole of my state. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is a lesson. I gave it out. Currently, I don't drive. So that's how simple my life has become because of the lessons I've learned. So there's no shortcut to success. Things come rightly. If you plan it, there's a lot of books you can read about that and lessons from people, real life lessons. But don't forget, if you jump out now and start making quick money, the person you left that is still graduate, in the next few years, what you will be earning per hour, maybe what you'll be earning in 10 years. So be careful.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of things to unpack from our conversation today. What thing we're now done, and we'll just like to ask you for a closing comment. You know, what do you want to leave us with as, you know, we part ways? We will be in touch, but I think one thing I'll quickly touch here is in the last chapter of your book, you finish with an African proverb that says, goodness is like a baton in a relay race. Once you are giving, you must also pass it on to another athlete. So based on that, I don't know, what do you want to leave us with? What are your final remarks before we go?
Actually, that was smart. I was actually going to read that.
Oh, good.
I found that we need to know, like, we're all connected in like a web of faith. So be nice, just be good, be really good, and be intentionally good. Be good in the sense that you can wake up every day. I mean, all of us here are still going to live more than 20 years. So you imagine how many people you are going to meet in the next 20 years of your life. You can wake up every day and say, today, I'm not going to be source of sorrow for anyone. If you can wake up with that, you'll be shocked at the ripple effect it's going to cause. Because we meet in an entrepreneurial world, you meet people who are frustrated. Yeah. You meet people who are almost giving up. You meet people who are carrying $1 billion dream, but don't know how to sell it. You meet people who are transpreneur, opportunistic preneur. like Tim was saying in the other room, they lost their job. Now they want to build a castle in the air. So to really be successful and be special in this field, it's a self-awareness decision.
Sorry about that.
It's Taranom.
Yeah, I think it's the
So just please, because I think it's more of what you give than what you take. And then what you give will always come back to you. So that's what I was saying. That's why I said goodness is like relay. And yeah, it's not about winning trophy or making noise about what you do, but you can genuinely do it. Because I also want to look back and say in 30 years' time, like Tim was saying, they've been doing this since 1986. I also want to be able to say in 30 years' time, like, imagine if all of us can come in 30 years' time and say, you've been doing this since 30 years ago. So it will really be great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that very inspiring closing remark. Thank you for your time. Again, like I say, it's 2 a.m. where Dr. Toyosi is. So we're very, very, very thankful of your time that you've taken out today. I'll call on Simon Christman. Simon is the co-founder of Founders and Mentors. Remember that you can join. Founders and Mentors is a global mentoring platform for the pre-launch ecosystem. So for those trying to start out businesses or side hustles, you're welcome to join. The link is in the chat. So Simon would want to just give us some final remarks and then we'll finish up for the evening.
Thanks, Winifred. Dr. Toyosi, very, very inspiring. I mean, this is exactly the sort of talks that make a difference to people. What's really clear, I think, to all of us is that you're a kind gentleman. You're not doing this to make money, to be the flashiest guy on the street. You know, it's part of your nature, and it's really inspiring that you'll spend the time with us and share your stories. So thank you so much. And I haven't read your book, but I think I'm going to now I've listened to you. And as well as that, Winifred, please keep putting on these fireside chats. Please keep doing these events. They make a difference to us all. And this whole sort of network that we're all putting together, it's not just me, I'm part of it, that we're all putting together for communities. We want to make a difference. And it's events like this that really, with speakers like Dr. Toyosi, that actually help founders. They help inspire us. They help give us direction. They help give us a compass of where we're going. So thank you to both of you.
Thank you to Simon. Thank you. And thank you to everyone that has come this evening or this morning or wherever you are, whatever time you have there. Thank you for your time today. With that, we'll be ending the session now. So please look out for the next fireside chat. Connect with Dr. Toyosi on LinkedIn. He's active there, at least on that media. But Dr. Toyosi, thank you for your time again.